Hold on. Turns out I do want my water. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, God.
God, you're just frozen in a terrifying
I breathed
space.
in. I couldn't breathe.
You couldn't yop either, so you're welcome for bringing you back.
What have we ever discussed, like, what that means? What is to yop, and how can something be yoppy? Is that like a books or hip hop situation of if you know, you know? Or
that's hard to say. I think so, but I feel like we could define it.
Well, like if the original was based on food, like a spice thing, is it a sweetness? Is it
it's the flavor.
Texture? Flavor, okay.
Actually, that's kind of like, I mean, if you can verb it,
yeah,
and it's a noun, is it more of a verb or more of a noun?
Well, I think hey, welcome back to the podcast. Did that work? I don't think so.
Yeah, sure. Just skirt around it. It's fine.
This is Jump on the Bat-Wagon, everybody. Right?
Yep. And you can yop if you'd like.
You can yop if you want to. Yop your friends behind, etc. I'm not going to do it.
I don't think it's ever been said with such enunciation.
Yeah.
You can
wop yop if you want to.
Wop. Fuck.
Well, you can wop if you want to.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Anyway, this is the podcast where we watch through the entire DC animated universe from start to finish in the controversial airdate order. Everybody, this is Brian. Brian's never seen any. Oh, I figured out a way to say it.
Oh, so say it.
The not.
Don't lose your steam. Just go.
This is Brian's first time through the entire DC animated universe.
Nice.
I don't know how we didn't. That's the most obvious way to say it ever. But they're like, how can we say this word doesn't sound awkward for so long? But there it is.
You did it.
Listening to episodes of Jessica in the car always refreshes me because we're always like 20 episodes behind with her. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. This is how the podcast was back when it was good.
Back in the good days.
Yeah.
I think these are the good days. I think we're only going to get worse.
The far gone days of the 3 months ago or something.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So today we're watching Batman the Animated Series episode Robin's Reckoning.
Yeah.
Which you predicted would be Batman's origin story, and then I said close, and you said Robin's origin story, and I said yes.
I think I'm gonna, despite you saying yes, I think I'm gonna like reframe my guess and say, especially given my past weekend, it's gonna be like reckoning, like a REKT reckoning, and he's just
Robin
gonna get
gets
trashed.
wrecked.
He's gonna be like partying. It's gonna be his time at college.
He's a
like,
college kid, yeah.
Yeah, and he's getting wrecked.
They were just foreshadowing late 2010s human slang.
Yeah.
I don't know why human was in there, because they weren't human back then. We were not quite evolved yet in the 1990s.
Truth.
Don't tell Dan Reba. But yeah, this is what do you know about Robin's origin story? Anything at all? Do you know how he became Robin, or like in any context, any continuity whatsoever?
He's a college dick.
He is. Good luck, college dick. That's all you know.
Yeah, no, I don't recall anything, not even from like the 60s Batman.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know.
I think this is the first like depiction of it outside of comics, so it makes sense that you wouldn't know that. But then again, this is a 30-year-old episode, so you've had quite a lot of time to figure it out. But
Jamie, spoilers, kind of.
Oh, whoopsie! Spoilers that this came out a long time ago, and we're finally talking about. But yeah, this was the episode, or one of two episodes that were on the Robin VHS tape. So I grew up with this episode playing infinitely in my house.
I predict a lot of fan mail about this one then.
Probably, yeah, because we do tend to get mail, or we do tend to get a lot of like nostalgic good feels from the audience during the VHS tape episodes. So
Yep.
Yeah. It's weird to think about how like this show wasn't available on like any sort of box set or like a home video situation besides random smatterings of episodes until like 2003 or 4 or something like that. So there was a good decade of people just like, boy, I remember that episode the one time I saw it on TV when I was 3, and that's it.
It's funny that they didn't release like a cassette box set.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that?
Was it did other shows get that? I don't really. I mean, I guess like Star Trek and like big fucking things got stuff like that, but I don't know if they would just do that with anything. The Gray Ghost Library, it burned to the ground, and we don't have the show anymore. That's why.
I feel like it did. I feel like there were options that had the Gray Ghost. Sorry, I like the back of my head.
Let me think. Oh, there it is. Was that Adam West?
I swear, like my subconscious responded to that, but my body was saying something else, and I just completely didn't acknowledge that. But I feel like glossing over. I feel like there were like, oh yeah, you watch this thing, but I like thinking back on it. I think I just like recorded stuff onto VHS from TV. Yeah. Damn.
I had my own Pokemon, Justice League, whatever, like videotapes off of TV, and then I had like these couple of VHS tapes from the show. But then there was sometimes they would do like a some marketing guy would pick a phrase, and that would be the name of the like it would be like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a non-Batman example, but like I don't know, Rocco's Modern Life, the Big Cheese, and then it would just be like episodes that slightly have to do with cheese or something, you know. It's like 5 or 6 episodes, and then they would just call that like Season 1, Volume 1 or something, and it wouldn't really be anything specific.
Cheese.
Yeah. We had to try, back in those days. You know?
Did you ever see Dino Riders? I think it might have been like a straight. You did? Yeah. Have we talked about this?
I know what you're talking about. I don't think I've watched much of it, but I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I had a Dino Riders, and I was just thinking my brain was doing a lot of like background processing, and reminded that like I had this Dino Riders cassette, and even though it was like not recorded from TV, it had like commercials, like advertising like different toys, but also definitely, wow, Dino Riders toys.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and just like really wanting like, oh, this Brontosaurus has a rocket launcher on it. I want that toy.
Yeah. There's plenty of Batman toys like that too. Like scuba action Batman or whatever. It was like, why would he? Like I have an action figure sitting right here in the background. I'm not going to show it to you because it's technically a spoiler, but it has a character. Podcast. As a character that already has like a sword, basically, and then in the action figure they also just have a ray gun. Like, unnecessary completely. I don't know why you have this.
You got a sword and a ray gun, so you can like hibachi some shit. You know?
Yeah. If this fails, at least I have my backup 1930s sci-fi movie weapon also. This episode, Robin's Reckoning, was written by Randy Rogel, who previously wrote Two-Face, Twiger, and The Mechanic.
Nice.
Is directed by Dick Sebast. When we talked to Dan Reba, I was like, oh no, I don't get to say that name anymore because that was his last episode of Zatanna or whatever. But I guess there's some produced episodes still that he hadn't done yet. He wrote or directed Feet of Clay, Part 1, Cat in the Claw, Part 2, Fear of Victory and Dreams in Darkness. Those are the Scarecrow episodes. Moon of the Wolf, What is Reality, and Zatanna. Music is by Carlos Rodriguez, who is part of the music department for The Clock King, Fear of Victory, I've Got Batman in My Basement, and If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?
So I should be expecting the I've Got Batman in my basement.
Just during a non-Penguin episode. The Penguin theme is playing and you just expect him to show up, but he never does.
No, but there is a nice shot of a basement that happens. So
it turns out it's actually the basement theme, but we just didn't realize it. Because, oh my God, he has Batman in his basement, and then in The Mechanic,
it's in the
basement.
In the basement. He's like, hey, Batman, my daughter is down in the Basement.
We really need to, next time there's a Penguin episode, we need to see if there's a basement in the episode.
And if there's three subsequent basements, I honestly expect you to make a Watchtower video about it.
Yeah, that's like kind of almost bordering on like enough of a subject matter.
Basements in the DCAU.
Oh my god. Anyway, last thing is animation is by Spectrum.
Hey,
who animated Heart of Ice, your number one, On Leather Wings, my number one, It's Never Too Late, on the bottom 10,
and Cowboy Bebop.
No, Pav, Vendetta, which was the
Pav
Killer
is on
Croc
the 10.
episode.
Isn't Pav still on the 10?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's on my 10. It's my 6.
10. Yeah, it's your number 6.
Ooh.
That's what you just said.
Burke,
and
I'm cold.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at our names on our top 10 list, and mine is currently I'm cold because my heart is ice.
Did you write that?
I don't think so.
I don't think I wrote that. Who wrote that? Who else has access to this document?
Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan Pollock made his way in. Changed everything around to put On Leather Wings at your number one. But yeah, Spectrum also did layouts for various Dong Yang episodes that we've watched. I believe the story goes that Spectrum is one of those companies that went out of business while working on this show because this show was so hard. But yeah, I think this is one of the last ones they did on their own with no assistance. They were credited for Gray the Beware Ghost, but that's the 16th title of that episode. But it was actually some other company that they sent it off to. Do you want to watch Robin's Reckoning?
I've got Rose Dog under
in my
desk.
Oh, that yeah.
She's here and she's being cute.
Wait, we renamed Rose Dog something else a couple episodes ago.
That was like 6 months ago.
Clack Doggy Dog or something like that. That was like a month and a half ago. Who knows? No one remembers that far ago.
Far gone days of a month ago.
A month ago. Here we go. Here we go.
Wow. Okay. We haven't used Arnold a lot. We should maybe replace that with something.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. But sometimes we have Hey Arnold voice actors now. I get to play it.
Oh, that's fair.
Not today, so
useless. Nice.
Hey, Dick. How you doing?
Fine.
Sorry I haven't been around. I forget how big and lonely this place can be.
That's okay.
As it turns out, I may have some free time starting tomorrow. How'd you like to catch the Gotham Knights season opener? Box seats.
Great.
I know it must be very difficult.
If only I could have stopped him. I saw him coming out of the tent. I knew he didn't belong there.
I know. You keep thinking, if only I'd done something differently. If only I could have warned them. But there isn't anything you could have done. There isn't anything either of us could have done.
Your mom and dad? Does the hurt ever go away?
I wish I could say yes. But it will get better in time. For you. That I promise.
Robin's Reckoning.
It's so reckoned.
Did he get wrecked?
He got wrecked.
He wrecked.
Objectively, yeah, he got wrecked.
Yeah, he was crying and stuff.
He was crying.
That counts.
He didn't get drunk, but he got wrecked.
Like there's the very emotional scene at the end of the episode in the flashback, and he's crying in the windowsill. It's like, Dick, how you doing? And you're like, I'd be doing a lot better if you would stop calling me Dick all the time. It was such a, hey, fucking Dick, what's up?
College Dick.
How are you doing in this giant room filled with one bed?
Yeah, can we talk about how big of a room you need? Because that room is bigger than my house and many other people's houses.
It sure is, yeah. The place where we go to record, where the Poison Ivy video is filmed, about as big as the bed, I'd say, in that bedroom.
Yep, yeah. I think that's fair.
So tell me what happened in Robin's Reckoning, Brian.
I'm going to synop you so hard it's going to make your head spin.
Oh, my God. I hope
completely
so.
around. I'm sorry, this is gonna kill you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's just starts swinging off of it. Yeah.
There's two storylines going on here. One is a flashback. One is a now.
Yes.
I'll give you the now because that's gonna be. I'll give you the now.
Yeah.
Trademark Gorillas, because that's gonna be a lot shorter. And then I'll do the flashback synop. So this is a twofer.
Oh my God, 2 synops. How
But I'm
about you
gonna
play
make
the
it-
guitar at the same time? No.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Nope.
Don't do
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay, so the now is Batman and Robin are in a building. There's a bad guy. And he gives the information that they needed to know, but it leads to this whole like past childhood trauma of the man who killed Robin's parents. And so Batman is going on a fucking bender trying to kill or trying to get to the dude who killed Robin's parents. The flashback synop. Oh, and also Batman and Robin are having a spat because Robin wants his revenge and Batman's like trying to like elbow him out of it because Batman doesn't want him to get the revenge, but Batman wants it for himself. I don't know.
I guess.
The flashback synop is that Robin, because it was his origin story.
It was.
Robin was a circus kid. He was a flyer in a trapeze act with his parents. Some dude decided he wanted to get money from the manager of the circus, and the manager of the circus says no, and so this guy's like, well, I'm gonna kill some people, so then you're gonna be sorry because I'm gonna kill these people. And then so he kills Robin's parents, and
He just says, I'm going to kill Robin's parents.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, you better not. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And then Bruce Wayne, who was in the audience the night Robin's parents died, is all like, yo, kid, come live with me because I like kids.
He made a face at it. Yeah, there wasn't really much of a good like reason that he did that other than just, I guess he felt sorry because he was also a kid when his parents died or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then there's some growing pains of Batman being a surrogate dad. And that's it.
That is it. That whole
welcome.
scene of them dying I lasted a lot longer to me as a child. That it went by really fast. Of the like, but I guess like I was thinking that as it happened, that it went by way faster than I remembered it, and I was like, oh, is this going to not be as like impactful or whatever? And I think it's just because like I've seen it so many times that I just know every shot that's about to happen or whatever in this one. So whenever they're getting on the trapeze and stuff, I think maybe it's just that whole deal of like when you're a kid and just time goes slower. Like like a movie feels like it's like 1,000 days long until it's over, but like that scene just went by so fast to me for some reason. Did it feel? Did it? You said like, oh, that's artsy or something when the rope swings back into frame and stuff like that. Did that scene hit you where it gets you?
I mean, I feel like you see it coming from a mile away. Like from the moment
yeah.
that you see the evil henchman, like
Right,
you know,
sawing
cutting
at
the rope.
thing. Yeah.
You know exactly what's going to happen. And of course, like the dad gets on it and it frays a bit, and Robin's on there, it frays a little bit more, and then you put like the extra weight of the mom. And of course it's going to snap. But yeah, I actually really liked, I was wondering how they were going to do it.
Yeah.
And how they were going to show that death.
Batman Forever, when they show Robin's parents like falling, it's just this like awkward slow motion shot of them like falling through the air and stuff like that, and then you just see their dead bodies like on the ground.
Yeah.
In this, you don't even see their bodies on the ground. You just see them like, oh, we're about to do a cool little flip, and then the music and everything stops, and then the rope swings back, and that like, well, this is a triv that I'm just spoiling or whatever, but like,
Cool.
It's they had a whole, I don't know what it was originally looked like, but they had a whole sequence of them falling and all that kind of stuff, and then the censors were like, nah, this is too bad, too dark and scary and stuff, and you can't show this.
This is Fox Kids. You can't show that.
Yeah, but then this is Fox Adults. But then they've always talked about like how much better it is because of that, like that moment of just like bum 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 bum. what? Oh my God, the rope, what? Is like way cooler. And you know what happened. Like, you don't need to be shown them falling or hitting anything. Like, you obviously, like, holy shit or whatever. And then just the shot of Bruce Wayne after that, like standing up, gasping or whatever. And then that's the whole moment. And it was like, this episode's fucking great, bro.
It is.
It's for so many reasons.
And I think it's one of those things is like giving people like the permission to use their imaginations or whatever.
Yeah,
like, you know what's going to happen before it happens. I mean, of course, there could be like some like amazing Bruce Wayne changes into Batman and like fucking whatever saves them from falling kind of situation. Like, it's possible. But it's just so artfully done. And I think sometimes that's like a lot of like really good like modern horror movies don't show you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they just leave it like they show you just enough so you know what's going to happen, but then they don't show you everything. And I think it's something that's, again, like a lot of modern filmmakers are using that technique because it can be more impactful because then you're just like, it's not this like slow motion parents falling. And I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like you said, it can just be awkward and cliche. And this was just super freaking, just super well thought out. And I think they did great.
I think that applies to some of the other like flashback Batman scenes too, where like so much is in shadow and darkness, and like Batman is more scary to the criminals because they can't even see his face. They can't see like anything that's going on.
Yeah.
He's just like a pair of eyes and ears sticking out of a bush, and they're like, "What the fuck is that? I better shoot it." And then he kicks their ass. They're like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Like, that's something that we don't see a lot on the show so far, at least, is like criminals actually being like scared shitless from Batman. And even in the opening scene, they're up on the like construction site and stuff, and the Batman and Robin are in full view. Like you see every inch of them, like colors and everything. And I think that's part of what helps separate the flashback from the modern scenes or whatever, is that like Batman is a little bit, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but Batman's like a little bit more of like a spooky, like, I don't know, monster or something. Like he's like a legend, a myth or something, more so than he is. Everyone knows, okay, Batman's probably going to show up to my crime spree thing in present day, and in the like 10 years ago thing, he's just like this, like, wait, what? There's a Batman? Like, what's going on? Because he's like barely been around or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized I forgot to read the official synopsis, and I'm going to do that now. I just got so excited to talk about Robin's Reckoning.
I hear you. I do. Before you do it, though, I do want to interject that I feel like this is one of the first times that we see him, like his Batman's usefulness, especially in the past, is like really good. And again, you're saying like he's scary and he's strong and he's all these other things. He seems a lot more adept and.
Yeah, he's like what he intended to be or whatever. Like he's more of like the, like, I don't know, symbol or whatever metaphor you want to do of like just you know, there's the like cheesy, like, I will become the Bat, I will strike terror into the hearts of criminals kind of a thing, and he's actually doing that for once. Like, very rarely so far have we seen anyone not just go like, fucking Batman, kill him. They're like, now in the flashback stuff especially, they're like, oh shit, get out of here, run, fuck.
It's weird. Great, it seems like he's becoming less adept as time goes on. Like, it's the Bat, whatever, guys. Just get on, keep going with the crime. It's fine.
Batman's in his flop era right now in present day.
He's gonna make a comeback. I just know
he will. Official synopsis from Warner Brothers. When Batman and Robin bust up an extortion ring trying to damage a high-rise under construction, Batman learns the name of the gang leader. To Robin's surprise, he refuses to let Robin continue the investigating with him, preferring to work alone instead. Miffed, Robin accesses the Bat computer to learn what Batman wouldn't tell him on their case. To his shock, he finds that the case is connected with Tony Zuko, a gangster who was responsible for the death of Robin's parents during the latter's high wire act.
A gangster from the Fire Nation. I'm funny, okay?
You're like, oh, Azula, Tony Azula. Robin decides to take matters into his own hands and deal with Zuko on his own, despite Batman's orders not to. See show 537 for part 2. Is how that ends.
It is a two-parter. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it.
I'd always like try to keep that a secret from you, and then forget instantly that you'll have to put the DVD in. And you go, oh hey, part 1. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Well, I mean, it's a surprise until now.
Yeah.
And to go back in time, and I don't know how I know this. At the beginning, you asked if I like knew anything about Robin's past.
Sure.
And I was like, nope, not a thing at all. As a circus person, I feel very embarrassed. He is an aerialist. He's a flyer.
Yeah.
He does trapeze. He's a circus dude. And I did know that, and I knew that his parents died. I didn't know
Acrobat is the word you're looking for.
To you normies,
a simpleton.
maybe you'd
A
call him
muggle.
an acrobat. But
Well, I thought you were trying to search for the word, but there you go.
no,
Whatever.
that art form is a flyer.
Okay.
Someone who's up and doing that.
Well,
stuff.
that makes sense because they're the Flying Graces.
See what I mean?
The Flying Dicks, as you said. when
Flying
you first saw
Dicks.
them. We're all named Dick. We're not even related.
It's a flying.
She's Dick. Yeah.
Just a bunch of Richards really into trapeze.
Yeah, the Flying Richards. That'd be way worse. Sounds really dumb.
Let's do it. Let's change our names and get into acrobatics.
Something I do like this episode came out a couple years before Batman Forever, which would be the next time we see Robin's parents die in a medium. But like in Batman Forever, the Flying Graysons are just already wearing like Robin costumes, basically. And so when he becomes Robin, he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna make like a souped up version of that costume to be Robin. Which I don't know if I like that or not. I definitely prefer in this. I think that there has nothing to do with Robin or Batman related things at all. That feels like a Skywalker type of thing of like not everything has to be like destiny and connected and stuff.
Right, yeah. I was wondering actually this episode if we were going to learn about how Robin. Did we learn how Batman?
No,
Do
not
we
yet. We get
learn how
Robin's
Batman?
origin story first.
Well, I mean, like the whole the name, like the naming
Yeah.
convention. I mean, you don't have to tell me if there's a spoiler thing. You can just say,
There's
fuck you.
more stuff coming up. Yeah, we'll get more.
There's gonna be at their funeral, and like a Robin's gonna land on the grave, and he's like, "I'm the Robin."
Honestly, I don't know if we do get a reason for the name Robin. But,
Do we get a reason for the name Bat?
Kind of, yeah.
I'm not convinced by
Stop
that one.
asking me questions.
Do we get a reason for the Penguin makes sense because he looks like a penguin.
he's a
Riddler
chicken.
doesn't make sense. That's not a good name for him, at least in this show.
Catwoman has nothing to do with cats. She just hates cats, and I don't get it.
Cat hate woman was just too hard to say.
Batman
Anyway.
just has like pet bats. That's why.
Yeah.
He's always getting mad at people for testing their products on bats all the time.
I think my favorite, and I can't remember if it's the same in the comics. I used to love Deadpool.
Okay.
Of all things that I regret, I'm sorry, I'm diverging.
Oh, you good?
Of all the things that I regret losing from my past, I do have this old Spider-Man thing that I did, which I love. But I, for an art class, did this extreme close-up. We were supposed to like blow up. Like we were learning how to do like the grid thing and you make art bigger.
Yeah.
And I decided to do Deadpool, like most like half of his face and like a little bit of a sword.
Ooh.
And I made this like probably 2 foot by like 4 or 5 foot like drawing of like the front of his face. And it like came out really good. And like even my dad had it hung up for a while. And I was just like, I don't know what happened to it, just probably like moving and stuff. It was just, that's that old shitty art. Now I'm like, why didn't I save that thing that I did? I have to redo it. That's why.
Maybe you'll find like an old photo it's in the background of or something like that. I don't know. You can only hope.
No, I don't really have any photos from the past, actually.
Okay. Well,
It's depressing.
Yeah, you should have. Well, it's probably also looks better in your head than it did in real life. I'm just gonna say it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. My Spider-Man is still pretty good. I actually just looked at it the other day. I'm like, oh, I still have that.
I want to be clear. I only say that because I think about art that I did in the past sometimes, and then I look at it and I go, oh, that sucks.
Fair. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to redo it. I'm gonna start this search here.
But yeah, the Flying Graysons.
Yeah, so let's get back on this podcast.
What do you think of Tony Zuko as character?
He's just like a bad guy. I don't feel like super connected to him one way or the other.
Yeah, he's like he has such a, I don't know. He's not like he's not like a nothing bad guy like your honestly your Arnold Stromwells.
Okay, fair.
But like he kind of just inadvertently becomes so involved in Batman's like mythos or whatever. Like he's just like, give me your money, old man. He's like, no, whoops, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, you'll be sorry though. I'm gonna create Batman's sidekick.
Yeah.
Like on accident.
Yeah. No. I wish he said that though.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill Robin's parents.
Who the fuck is Robin? Dick. You'll learn about it later. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm from the future. Did you notice on the back computer when Robin's looking up Tony Zuko's like aliases, one of them is Sid the Squid?
Yeah.
Which was that guy from The Man Who Killed Batman that everyone thought killed Batman. Which is very strange because it's like, did he hear that guy's name and go, yeah, I'm that guy. I killed Batman. Like he's trying to take the...
That actually really, really, really confused me.
When it came up, you're like, oh, so it's that guy, I guess.
Well, that like it threw me so much for a loop because I was like going through these names in Yomi. I'm like looking for like typos and I'm looking for like this, and I can't remember what that last one was that really
Punky Lesh.
Punky Lesh. I'm like, that's got to be someone. There's a story behind that one.
Yeah.
But it really like, I don't know. It was so like off-putting because it was like this list of names you don't know, this list of names like are one of these names that you definitely do know.
Yeah.
And I got kind of like thrown off as to like what they were even talking about because it just.
Yeah, I mentioned in the trivia on Man Who Killed Batman that we'd get another character who used that name.
Oh, you did say that, didn't you?
That's this moment. But yeah, that's all you get. There's no ever an explanation of why he would have used that name or whatever. If there is a canonical reason, that's what I have to assume is that he's like, okay, that guy's known as like this big badass in the crime world, so I'm going to pretend that's my name or something like that. But otherwise, it's just like, okay, we got a list of gangster names on the like Batman Bible or whatever, and he's just pulled that one out and forgot they already used it for like a main character.
I wonder.
One of our patrons pointed out on Twitter recently that like in the live action movies they just swap out the kind of C-level gangster character for like a main villain for both Batman and Robin's like origin stories. Like they just make the Joker the guy that killed Batman's parents in Batman. Yeah. And then in Batman Forever, Two-Face is the Tony Zuko spot. Like he's at the ring and shoots the rope or something like that to cause them to fall.
Okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, and I said like, oh, because Joe Chill is the name of the guy that killed. You never learn that in the DCAU, but in comics, I guess you do in the DCAU comics. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Joe Chill's the Batman Wayne murder guy. And I was like, oh yeah, my favorite characters Joker, Chill, and Two-Face Zuko. Or Toonie Zuko is what I said with a W.
I also in the 89 Batman, it's and I've always hated this.
Yeah,
I've always hated this, that it's like it's the Joker, but as a younger guy with an actor who looks nothing like Jack Nicholson. Not even a little bit. Just like he could have been like a completely different race or gender or whatever. And just like nothing like him. And I remember being confused as a kid. They're like, oh, but it's the Joker, whatever. Like, he killed your parents, but it always had that disconnect. because it just
And
doesn't
he
look-
says the whole like you have a dance with the devil by the pale moonlight. He says by the pale moonlight, and then Jack Nicholson Joker later says in the pale. Like he doesn't even say the right thing.
I never noticed that.
They're like, that's the one connection that makes you realize like, oh, it's the same guy, but he doesn't even say it right or whatever.
So they need to do like a prequel. And it's like his cousin or something. It's the Joker's cousin.
No, you idiot! I told you it's by or whatever.
Yeah, and, like there's a whole. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Bruce Timm and co have talked about too, that they hated they just made it the Joker in that movie, and so they like heavily chose not to go with that. That was going to be part of that gun story though that got canceled, was that the gun would eventually end up in the Joker's like Joker's hands, and then you see him kill the Waynes. So it almost happened in this universe, but we don't have to count it. Yeah.
I feel like that's even, I don't know, there's just so many better ways to do it, but I like the idea of it not being like Two-Face or whatever. It just
and that's ridiculous. The same kind of thing with the costume thing I was just talking about, where it's just like destiny that these characters have to be intertwined or whatever. I think it's almost more poetic for it to just be like random street thug guy. Because then when Batman Batman and Robin both like, I gotta fight crime, they're fighting like crime, not just like looking for one guy or whatever. Like if only there was less crime, this kind of thing wouldn't happen or something.
Which is kind of funny because there's so many like revenge characters out there. It's cool. Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna do all bad guys because that's better or whatever.
Yeah, I like Robin in this episode. Is probably the most like, I don't know, relatable he's ever been in any of these. So far, he's just been this kind of wacky little dude that just kind of follows Batman around.
Yeah.
What did you feel about like the emotional arcs of this episode compared to past ones that we've watched?
I think this is like, and I like the heavier things. I like things that you can be more connected to. I feel like this one's great. It's got a lot of heart. It's got more like, it just feels like a more realistic storyline.
It still has its moments of like, you had a
That's not
that lasts so long with the rivet gun on the construction site.
The rivet gun shooting rivets, the juggling clown not juggling a juggling pattern. That one bugged me.
Yeah. That's one of those things where you see like a trombone guy playing and it's not anywhere near the notes that the trombone is actually doing. Like I'm sure we have crossover of, oh man, why didn't you just consult or use a guy that actually knows what he's doing or whatever?
I've always thought that with people playing guitar. And you just hear like the notes changing in the background and someone's holding a not chord and strumming not to the it's like, why do you do this?
I feel like drums are the most obvious because like, oh, you hit a different drum and it made a different sound. But yeah, I mean, the juggling guy, I feel like is just probably like an animation thing. But was there anything else in the circus that like, there's like a lady standing on a horse, there's all the elephant tricks and stuff like that. Anything else that stuck out to you that was like, that's not a real thing or whatever?
No, it was actually like pretty, like there was a 3-high, someone standing on the shoulders of someone standing on the shoulders. And that was like, like the way the movement wasn't necessarily accurate, but it's the thing that people do.
Yeah.
So,
because I have to assume that when they write that stuff in the script, they're just like, circus stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And then like the storyboard artists and whatever, like figure it out. And in that, since it goes through so many different hands, I'm kind of surprised it's not worse than it is, that it's like, oh, that's actually a thing. And not like, guy swallowing snake or something like that. Like just things that you would think of as like, this seems like a really stereotypical, like, circus thing that's not an actual thing or whatever.
Even the the clown juggling pattern is like, it's kind of close to a pattern called the reverse cascade, but that's not like the clubs looked kind of like they were doing a reverse cascade.
Was it better than Joker's ball juggling, where he was just going in a perfect circle and his hands were just moving?
Yes, it was better than that. I hate that. There's the circus guild in town here, I used to do a lot of organizing for, and anytime I'd like making a Facebook event, I would go online and get some stock photo of jugglers and it was always like the most inaccurate photos I could find. It was always the ones where it was like 15 balls in a perfect circle and a guy like just kind of, hey, I'm juggling. You're like, that's impossible. But yeah, we're using that image.
Someone photoshopped in too many balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And in a pattern that's also impossible.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think like that whole, the whole circus flashback scene, is pretty like I said, it goes by pretty fast, but, I think it's just enough to show you like, oh, so Robin like actually was involved in this kind of stuff before being Batman's partner or whatever. So it's not like some characters, I feel like when they like, I can't think of any specifics right now, but just comic book characters in general, they'll like
Sewer King.
Yeah, well, no, I mean like they'll just know like fight like martial arts out of nowhere.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, you're on the team now, and then they just like can do all these flips and stuff, and I'm like, you learned this in like 2 weeks? I don't think so. So it's at least nice to see that Robin is like already a flyer, and that he's like when you see him doing that same kind of thing as Robin, it's like, okay, yeah, that's completely believable. And I love that opening scene with him just like he's so bored and I have homework, come on, kind of a thing. And
I was like in the background of my head, I was like really hoping that was going to be the audio clip that you'd choose for either the end or the break.
The very opening.
If I knew it was going to take this long, I would have brought my homework. You sure about this extortion ring?
Uh-huh.
It's been 4 hours.
Uh-huh.
You still think they'll show?
Uh-huh.
Lucky for me, you're such a good conversationalist.
I used that in the Watchtower like opening like comment, subscribe thing. It just shows Batman doing the thumbs up from the biggest birthday hug ever, and then it's him going at the same time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes. If you couldn't tell,
I can tell. Okay, this is jumping. This is jumping quite a bit, but I'm really like, I know that we have our convention setups for our top 10. That it's like the parts of an episode. But I'm like really siding with Dylan on this one because I'm like, I want to know how it resolves because I feel like I'm putting so much weight into this one because I really like this episode. I don't know. We haven't like shit on it at all, except for like, oh, the clown juggler, what an asshole.
Yeah, the worst thing was probably Martha Wayne's face on that painting.
It was so bad,
and it unfortunately sort of ruined that moment. Like it's the most like tender, heartwarming moment of the episode. And he's like, "Are those your parents?" And he just nods, and then like, "Does the hurt ever go away?" And it just shows them. And she just got the goofiest fucking face.
It is
and you're
straight
like,
out of
what's up with her
Animaniacs.
face? Oh my god! And I'm like, oh fuck, Brian, you're missing the moment.
Actually, wait, it's not out of Animaniacs. It is exactly an Invader Zim expression. That's what it is.
Close. Yeah, yeah.
It's like her head is tilted to the side. Her smile is this like really like skewed, huge triangle. It's twice the size her mouth should be. I like want to make this my like profile picture now for like all social media.
Really demented looking. Yeah. Well, maybe it's a good thing she died, Bruce.
Are these your parents? Whoa, Bruce! What's wrong with your mom's face?
This was a comic that was written like years after the DCAU essentially ended, so it's not going to be part of this at all. But there's a comic called The Flashpoint Paradox, or it's just called Flashpoint. The movie version's called The Flashpoint Paradox. And it's the Flash going back in time, and he ends up messing stuff up to where like ripples and things change on the timeline.
Sure.
And it's instead of Batman's parents dying in the alleyway, Bruce dies in the alleyway, and his parents survive, and his dad becomes Batman because the mom just cracks when she sees like her dead son on the ground bleeding out and all this stuff, and she becomes the Joker. And it's this whole like crazy thing. And so like there's this scene of like Thomas Wayne going over to her to like console her, and then she like turns around, she's got this huge demented, and she's been holding Bruce, so her hands have blood all over them, and then she's like gasping, holding her mouth, so when she pulls her hand away, there's like a big lipsticky smile thing there. It's a really cool
this is
choice.
A way cooler storyline than Batman.
Yeah, it's sort of. It is a pretty cool take on it. And Bruce, like Thomas Wayne, is like this really old, rugged Batman by the present day or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that shot of her turning around and with the Joker smile is not too far off from the expression she had in that painting. Is what I was trying to get at. That has nothing to do with Robin's Reckoning. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
cool
We can
thing.
get back on topic if you want, Mr. Fun Buzzkill.
The flashback
Killer Fun.
art was really cool and good.
All the art was cool and really good. There was good light stuff too.
Yeah,
We're jumping all over the place. I am. Anyway.
This is one where the flashbacks. There's a couple episodes. Well, this episode and one of the movies do this where the transition into flashbacks is this barely noticeable like kind of warping of the screen, and so sometimes especially if it's the first time you're watching it, probably is like it's hard to tell sometimes when we're in a flashback and when we're not or whatever.
Yeah,
and I think. I mean, I've seen this a million times, so obviously I know where they are, but I think like you might have, when you were describing the episode, you're like, okay, in present day, Batman's going apeshit over trying to find Tony Zuko, but all that we see of Batman in present day is just driving in the Batmobile. He doesn't actually do anything after they confront those guys at the construction site. All of the like alleyway and going to Stromwell's house and all that stuff.
I guess that's fine. Like I did know what time we were in. I don't know. It made sense to me. But I think it just misconstrued it later on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I never said the synopsises are correct.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. No, the flashback, like going to Stromwell's house and stuff, that's one of my favorite parts is just like Batman does the like just barely not the Incredible Hulk line of you're gonna make me grumpy. You wouldn't like to see me when I'm grumpy or whatever.
That one fell pretty flat for me because it was just such a like.
Yeah. No, I think that's supposed to be a little bit silly. But yeah, I'm glad that you like at least remembered that there was a character named Stromwell, because it's been so many episodes since we watched It's Never Too Late where this is the only other episode that he's in, and then they just choose to have him be like Tony Zuko's uncle, I guess, for some reason.
Yeah, I remembered him. I remember the name. I did not remember what he looked like.
Yeah,
I didn't remember what episode he came from, but yeah, I think they say it so much in that episode that you can't forget the name. It also sounds like a freezer dinner. Stromwell's.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he definitely looks a little bit younger because it's a decade ago or whatever, but he's still this like craggly old fuck.
Yeah,
get out of what have you brought upon my house, you asshole?
Beating the shit out of him with a newspaper.
Yeah, I think as a kid seeing this so many times as my like pseudo introduction to this show sort of spoiled me for what I think of Batman the Animated Series as. Yeah. Is like I think of this in part 2 as like the what the show is to me, the quality of the show. And so especially when we're going through a lot of these earlier episodes, the front half of the show where we're just like, what the fuck? Like I'm spending a lot of time going, I don't remember it being this bad. I'm so sorry. And then like we get to something like this and it's almost sticking out as like too good compared to like it makes everything else look so stupid.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate because like they're I think a lot of, I mean, there's really good art in this, really good like writing. There was nothing that like, why did they say it that way kind of a thing. And the way that characters interact with each other, like even just that little moment of him smacking him with the newspaper and stuff was like a really good like just character moment instead of just him being angry and yelling and him leaving the house and stuff. You can feel like, yeah, these guys actually are like uncle and nephew and he's pissed at him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they did like everything in this episode is really solid.
Yeah. And Robin leaving the circus, you were like, damn, man, or something. There's a very solemn, even the giant buck-toothed clown was crying and
and the elephant was awkwardly waving his trunk,
Yeah. It's a very smart elephant.
Crazy smart.
I noticed for the first time, probably because when you watch this on VHS, the sound is so compressed or whatever, but when Dick is walking out of the circus tent in the flashback and he's like wiping his sweat or whatever, and then the elephant's like, I'm gonna steal your towel, ha ha ha. There's like a really over the top like elephant sound effect that kind of is like way more than the elephant's actually currently doing. And I thought that was a little bit like out of sync with everything that we're looking at or whatever, but it didn't like take me out of it. I was just like, oh, I've never noticed how like really upset sounding or like really excited the elephant is to pull this towel off the kid or whatever.
The elephant is having a day.
yeah. He witnessed a murder. Oh my god. It's a good episode.
It's a good episode. What do we?
I'm gonna talk about the cast.
Let's talk about the cast.
Okay. We got Kevin Conroy as Batman, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, which he had red hair in this episode in the flashback. He's younger. And we also saw Bullock, even though he didn't say anything, so I don't get to. I just had. That's all you get.
Damn.
He was there.
He was
as a
there.
cop. He's not a detective yet. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred. Mm-hmm. Paul Eading as Dolan. I'm not sure who Dolan is. Probably one of the like gang members at the start or something.
Yeah. Was that the guy that hung upside down?
Maybe, yeah, probably, since he talked the most. Like, which was another, that's not how that works for you, I think, where you're like, you can't hang on to I-beams like that or something like that. I mean, have you tried? I don't know. He has really good finger grip strength.
It'd be this muscle right here. You'd have to be really good at.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's on like the last inch of it, just full body weight.
Yeah.
I think the way that's animated, like you started as he's running up it, you're like, oh, nope, what? Or something. Or like the way that when he gets to the center and it's like tilting and he's reaching for the rope but just misses, I think that's just effective enough for me to be like, shit, guy, like I wish he grabbed it. Like, I think you could feel the like, oh, yeah, that's not going to work out so well kind of thing.
It's okay. He's got the strongest hands you've ever seen.
Yeah. Despite not being great in the fight, he has the strongest hands.
Yeah. Just like all he had to do, they call him Handshake. And Handshake Tony. Handshake Dolan. And
Handshake Dolan. You
don't want to shake that guy's hand. He's like a bad Bond villain. And he shakes your hand, just breaks it.
It explodes, yeah. There was a Death of Superman animated movie, not part of the DCAU. It was just like a comic adaptation. He played Pa Kent, Superman's dad.
Yeah.
He was Reflux in The Incredibles 2. Which was an old man with throw up superpowers.
Oh God!
Perceptor on Transformers animated series or 80s animated series, the animated series, and most notably probably he's Grandpa Max on like every Ben 10 thing or most Ben 10 things. It's like, and you don't know what that is, but Maddie just went, oh shit, while listening. Lauren Lester as Robin, Eugene Roach as Stromwell. Joey Simrin as Robin, age 10.
Okay.
It looks like he's like stopped acting not too long after this, but not too long after like the early 2000s or so. But he was mostly just kind of random child or teenager characters in like Disney Channel original movies or like Nickelodeon movies and stuff like that. The three that stuck out to me were he plays a character named Rick Ditmar, who I don't remember, in Clock Stoppers. He plays Arnie in Brink, and he plays Kid in Hulk Hogan's Suburban Commando.
That one lands.
Yeah, it's like 91 or something. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Which
kid could he be? Which kid could he be?
I don't know. He's Kid. There's only one kid in that movie, and it's him.
If you haven't seen Suburban Commando, do yourself a favor. It's Hulk Hogan in the like late 80s, and he's like a space warrior dude who gets stranded in like Los Angeles. It's actually I watched it not that long ago. It's still entertaining as hell.
It's a like Jingle All the Way kind of entertaining.
But Christopher Lloyd is the like absentee, obsessed with his job dad. And what's the mom's name? Shelley Duvall.
I think so.
She just it's so dumb. It is so good. I love it.
Shelley Duvall, wife of the Joker in The Shining. There's the connection, everybody. We have Thomas Wilson as Zuko. Does that name ring a bell to you?
It's like the most American name ever.
Yeah, it is, yeah. As I go down the list, you'll get more and more familiar. You'll start with not familiar at all. He plays Hank Haywood in Legends of Tomorrow, Catman and Sportsmaster in Batman the Brave and the Bold. He is Park Ranger Smith in Duckman, Private Dick. He plays a character named Matt Bluestone on Gargoyles. This next one was one I didn't know, but I should have known how many times I've seen Robin's Reckoning. I should have made the connection comparing voices. SpongeBob. He has been several notable characters.
Okay.
Do you remember the episode where Patrick's parents come over and by the end they turn out to not even be his actual parents?
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, that's right. We don't have a son," or whatever.
Yep.
He's the dad. He's the dad in that episode. He's Flats the Flounder.
Okay.
He is the Strangler. And a bunch of other voices up through today, even like he's in an upcoming episode. So he's just been guys on SpongeBob.
Okay.
His most notable thing, of course, though, is he is Biff in the Back to the Future movies.
Oh, all right.
The bad guy, yeah.
Sweet.
So
Good for
that's
him.
That's Thomas Wilson. We have additional voices as well. Ed Gilbert, Diane Pershing, who's Poison Ivy's voice, so I don't know who she was in this. Brian James, who previously played Irving in Joker's Wild. Yeah, Brian James. We remember because it's Brian James. He's the big like henchman dude in Joker's Wild. And Roger Rose, who was the TV host in Joker's Wild that was doing like not Ed Sullivan, the C one, the one that starts with the C, a talk show host.
Carl.
Carl. There you go. Carl Catman on in that episode. On the like, oh, he's drinking milk out of the dog's mouth or whatever.
Carson? Johnny Carson.
Yeah, Johnny Carson. There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Good job, Brain.
Yeah. Good job, Brain. Good job, Brian. We got a large trib, so I'm gonna jump into it.
Jump on
trivs. This is the second time we've seen Batman's previous costume. The first time in the mechanic in those flashbacks.
Oh,
this is the non-yellow oval.
Yeah,
version.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I love how he takes his belt off and there's like a smaller belt underneath.
Just a bright yellow waistband, maybe.
Yeah. We talked so much about like where does Batman keep all that stuff in the belt, and maybe it's just in this second belt underneath the belt.
It's a trap door.
Yeah, the cassette tape opener and the belt buckle or whatever, it just goes to the second belt. According to the book Batman Animated, Batman's costume in the flashback sequence was a cross between the original Bob Kane, that's the creator of Batman, design, and the Batman Year One design, which is like a famous telling of Batman's first year.
Cool.
After flipping one of the gamblers in the alleyway over his shoulder, Batman's yellow emblem can be seen, which did not have in the flashbacks. So that's a little goof.
Whoops.
It's a little whoopsie. This episode is based on the comic story from Detective Comics number 38, April 1940. The opening scene on the construction building may be a reference to Robin's face-off with Zuko at the end of that original story. This is something that Maddie discovered while reading through the original Batman comics recently. Was like, holy shit, this construction fight scene is exactly like the opening of Robin's Reckoning. We're like, oh, I wonder if anyone knows that, and it's just been on the DCAU wiki for years.
Good catch, Maddie.
That's okay. Part 1 earned the series an Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program for programming less than 1 hour.
Nice.
Previously won Outstanding Writing in an Animated Program for Heart of Ice in 1992. According to Lauren Lester, this Robin's voice, in Hero Illustrated Special number 1, Robin's Reckoning was the only episode submitted for Emmy consideration in 1993. So they knew it was a good one. They're like, please watch this one. Don't watch anything else.
But not
give us
part 2 or the whole thing.
I don't know if maybe they can only submit one or something. I don't know. But and maybe they submitted the whole thing and only part 1. I don't know. But when we interviewed Randy Rogel, the writer, a few years ago, or I guess it was last year maybe, and he showed us that he has the Emmy in his home office, He like brought as soon as we were like, so this won an Emmy, and he just stood up from his chair and walked over and grabbed it to show us.
I've been waiting
Like,
so long for this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Tony Zuko's voice reminiscent of John Travolta's, quite possibly as a reference to the similarity in names between Zuko and Travolta's character in Grease, Danny Zuko. I don't know if that's on purpose at all, but it did kind of sound like a Travolta impression a little bit.
I mean, just like everybody, I think you could attribute that.
It also sounds like Biff from Back to the Future.
Well, I was thinking like any of the like bad guys you could associate, because they all have that like, you know, kind of like post transatlantic New York gangster accent kind of thing.
I also think just the name Tony Zuko sounds like the most like I'm a gangster name you could come up with.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. The music played in the diner. Oh, this is part 2. Fuck, what? I didn't say anything. There's no diner in part 2. What are you talking about? Bruce Timm. Oh, I'm so sorry, man. Bruce Timm often said the scene where Dick Grayson says goodbye to his circus friends before leaving Wayne Manor has made him cry several times. It's a tearjerker. There's several of those moments in the episode.
Yeah.
That's all the trivs.
Good trivs.
That's all I got.
Nice.
Thank you. I should have looked a little harder, because I feel like this episode is so monumental that there's got to be more like interesting stuff. So if any listener, or Maddie doesn't count as a listener apparently, they're separate, knows of any trivs that would be good to mention to Brian that I didn't bring up, tell me, because
we got another one coming up.
We gotta know. Yeah,
Pew,
we got part 2.
Finger guns. Pew pew pew.
Pew pew part 2. Robin's Reckoning.
Pew pew part 2.
Pew pew.
That's gonna be the title of this episode.
Is Pew Pew Part 2
for part
and then
1.
Part 2 is something else.
Pew pew. Whoops, we did this joke already.
People would be so confused. Robin's Reckoning Part 1 or Pew Pew Part 2. Well, we have to do it now, though. Sorry. There's nothing to do with it. I mean, there were guns. It's in reference to the rivet gun in the opening scene.
There you go. The rivet gun that shoots rivets?
Shoots rivets. Maybe they thought it was like a nail gun or something. I don't know. You are also like from 1910 or something. It's a very old-fashioned looking thing.
It's a very old. It's like 50s stylized kind of.
It's like that famous image of the like construction workers all sitting on the I-beam eating their boxed lunches or whatever, you know. It's like they looked at that and went, okay, I got it. I know what a construction site looks like now. Just did that.
There's an uncropped version of that photo that you should look up, and I bet it's probably easy to find. I think it's called like workers eating lunch on a steel beam.
That would make sense.
Lunch atop a skyscraper.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like...
What's that?
Huh?
What does the uncroppedness of it show?
It's just wider, if I remember correctly. But it kind of puts it more into context. Let me see. I remember seeing something about it, but it's been some years.
So Batman's usefulness.
Yeah.
Super high, we said.
He's pretty useful.
Yeah. He's like, that kid... I'm really mad at the guy that killed the kid's parents, more so than any other villain for some reason. But... yeah, he did a lot of good stuff. He found him very easily, and then he left a tracer in the house, or like a microphone or whatever, to a weird little like Tumblr. That's not.
I'm sorry.
Not Tumblr, the website. What is it called? Like a locker lock when you turn it for the tumblers, like a safe lock. What is that called? When you turn it for the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. It looks like that.
I think the tumbler is the back side of the lock where the pins actually are.
I agree. I just don't know what the turny part's called.
Dial?
The turny part. Sure. He leaves like one of those stuck under a chair is all I'm trying to say.
Oh, it does look like that. It really does. It's like a little one of those. I also can't find the uncropped version. I thought there was something more enlightening about it. Go on.
And then Batman has his little Bluetooth headphone in the parking lot listening to it.
He do.
He's very advanced and not at the same time. I love how he jumps on Tony Zuko's car, punches the windshield once, and then flies off. Like, that'll show him.
Yeah, and all the other like driving and stuff they're doing around in that area. Yeah. I feel like he would have fallen off sooner than that, or not fallen off because of that, but
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief and all.
I'm going to give Batman 8 disguise that barely doesn't look like Bruce Wayne's out of 10.
Okay.
Actually, at 9. I'm giving him 9.
Okay.
Switch it to 9.
That's also good.
Very useful.
He was very useful. I don't know if I feel 9 quite so much.
What would a 10 be for the like? What do you have to do to earn a 10? You have to like literally save the planet or something.
Yeah, I was thinking like the planet's gonna blow up and he like cuts the wire and then kills everybody who like knew how to make that happen again or something. Like he just. I
can think of a couple episodes we'll get to in the next decade that Batman will earn a 10. But anyway.
Okay, I need a second to think of some useful something or other.
I was gonna go with our like 5 1 blow darts out of 10 and kind of thing by doing 8 or 9 snake eyes dice or whatever.
Pretty good roll.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's like 18 points.
Fuck. What do I choose?
9. This guy is in Cowboy Bebop. Like, I said to you during the episode, for an episode not animated by the Cowboy Bebop people, that's the most Cowboy Bebop looking guy I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was perfect. I'm gonna give him an 8.8 because I don't know. That sounds good.
Yeah.
8.8 list of bad guys' names with one of them that's severely recognizable out of 10.
Out of 10. Okay, sounds good. I like how the episode sets you up with like Marin, and you're like almost as if you're supposed to know who that is. And then later when Alfred's like, "Oh my fucking god, Tony Zuko," before the flashback starts, I was worried that you were gonna be like, "Oh, am I missing something or whatever?" But then luckily the episode's like, no, let me show you.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, that was nice of them because it was for a while. I was like waiting for like Marin, and then they're like Stromwell, and I'm like, that's not Marin. They're like Zuko. I'm like, that's not Marin.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. They got it out of the way. You got it.
They got it. And they put it on. They put it right there on the screen for you.
There he is.
Look at
Tony Pops. Might still be listening. Keen effects.
There were some keen effects. Fleeting.
Yeah.
There's some I mean, like all the like shadow work, which I think Keen said. No. Yeah. Was that the terminology?
Yeah. Sure.
Lots of good
play. Yeah.
Shadow play. Shadow puppets. Lots of good shadow puppets.
Yeah.
The headlights. We were like. I think we were just talking about like cool effect.
There's really good lighting in this, and the headlights turned on with a cool little flash. Yeah.
That was some really good headlight lighting.
Yeah. And in that POV, the POV shot of Batman from inside the car as he's driving up to him. Yeah. Just the lighting in this episode in any scene was really good. Like Wayne Manor especially felt very
ominous.
Original use of the word dank and like spooky and stuff, like foreboding.
Very
like,
foreboding, very ominous. And I liked the bit
empty
where it was kind of weird, but I liked how as the car drove up, it became like enveloped in shadow.
Yeah, the sun is like behind the manor when they pull up, so it's like in shadow almost, and then that bat flies by, and it's just very like ominous. Yeah, it's very empty. That bedroom is very empty. The dining hall is very empty.
Actually, I think if we're being fair, it's very Scooby-Doo.
I guess,
you need, like the bat effects and then like the thunder, lightning crash.
Scooby-Doo just starts playing us. Oh, speaking of which, that's a very good segue to one of our patrons posted on Twitter that they found out, or they've known for a while, I guess, but hadn't mentioned it at all to us. There's a 2000, I think, animated Scooby-Doo movie, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it, but the trailer for that has a shot of a bat like flying at the camera, and I guess it's from Dreams in Darkness. It's just the shot of the bat is from that.
What?
And because they put screenshots side by side and it's identical. Like the colors are slightly different, but probably just because of the like quality of the clip or whatever.
Oh my god.
It's just the same bat. Yeah, so it's like very like weird. I mean, they're both Warner Brothers, but I like how they're like, okay, we got to make this trailer spookier. We got a shot of a bat in Batman, probably. I have to assume. They just find a bat shot.
Man, it sounds like their Lightroom catalog is very well tagged.
Yeah.
Bats.
They typed in bat and it just showed up. Yeah. Oh, man, I need a bat. Here it is. I wonder if they tag shots like that.
I don't know. I mean,
to reuse.
Otherwise, it's just they go to Dan Reba and they're like, hey, Dan, remember this.
we need a bat. Can you remember? Hey, James Strecker, 20 years from now, do you remember? I wouldn't have been able to tell them to use that bat shot from Dreams of Darkness, probably. So I fail at Watchtower.
I wonder
database.
if you could, though. If I was like, James, what episodes have bats in them?
I can tell you probably what episodes have bats in general, but not like we need a shot of the bat flying at the camera. Although I don't know. I do that with other things, but not this, apparently.
I bet you could.
I can tell you an episode where Jimmy Olsen shrugs, but I don't know. I don't know when the bat flies at the camera.
This episode.
Yeah.
Well, it flies by, not at.
It's A Fish Story is the episode I was thinking of, and we're moving on to the top 10. Do you put this on your top 10, Brian?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, too. Where are you going to put it, though?
That I don't know.
I'm cold because my heart is ice is the name of the list.
I'm thinking I'm thinking top 3.
Yeah, it's pretty dang high up there.
What are you thinking? I want to stumble through this with
I want to
you.
wait. I want to wait till you, because I'm still kind of thinking.
What a jerk.
I know. We can't
Beware the
think
Great
in
Ghost,
real
Nothing
time.
to Fear, Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. Okay, so my list from 10 to 1 is Perchance to Dream,
Yes.
Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, Nothing to Fear, Beware of / Grey Ghost / Ghost.
The only one that we're keeping.
Point of View. Pretty Poison, Joker's Favor, Almost Got Him, Feet of Clay Part 2, and Heart of Ice. Ooh,
Those are some good episodes.
yeah. All of these are much better than On Leather Wings. But I think I'm going to put this in third.
Okay. That's respectable. That's respectable.
Robbins.
Brian. See? This show's good, Brian.
Robbins.
This show's good. You like this show.
Robbins Wrecked. Part 1.
Robbins Wrecked. Part 1, yeah.
Oh God.
Well, so
PT.
you talked about you don't want to give it. You've done it now, so you can't. No takebacks.
Nope.
But you wanted to give part 2 like the chance or whatever. Do we want to create a new rule that if part 2
Yes.
makes part 1 better or worse as a collective, that you can move a part around? We're making up the rules. I don't care what anyone else is screaming at the suggestion box right now, but
What if
we don't have to figure it out this time. I mean, we could get listener help in the comments potentially.
I think that no, because you'd never find an agreement there.
That's true. Don't do that.
I think
we won't listen to you.
I think that we can because this part does feel strong.
Mm-hmm.
If we pollocked this one, it could be influenced later on by part 2.
So I think personally, because we've been doing it this way for Batman so far, that we continue to do it this way for Batman. When we get to Justice League specifically, they start doing stuff where part 1 and 2 are aired on the same day if there's a 2-parter or a 3-parter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And those ones, I think we'll have to debate whether we count them as separate episodes, because it's almost like just a back-to-back continuing a thing. There's not there's technically a part 1 and 2, but they're just one episode aired on the same day, like a long episode or something.
That to me sounds like that's just a part 1 and 2. I wonder about this, because also if it's equally good, am I just going to have Robin's Reckoning Part 1 and Robin's Reckoning Part 2 on the list? Because that also seems like it's kind of I'm getting to see what Dylan was saying, but I wonder if we can implement it differently.
Well, I mean, maybe we can decide after we watch it next time, because definitely
don't even say
so
it.
far. No, I just mean so far our part 1s and 2s I think have been
very
vastly different quality from each other.
Yeah.
Maybe not vastly with Cat in the Claw, but there was still a notable part 1 is better, Feet of Clay Part 2 is better, etc. Maybe those are the only.
We each have. We've got Feet of Clay
Two-Face Part 1
2.
way better than Two-Face Part 2.
Yeah, and I mean, not that you'd get that from my list, but like we both agreed that we both have Feet of Clay Part 2 as our number 2.
At number
and
2,
Feet of Clay Part 1 isn't on our list at all.
Yeah.
So like where's the halfway between that? But I think in an instance where they're like both like if Part 2 of Robin's Reckoning we both agree is like good, then maybe we do just tack it on. But I think maybe we have the ability to break it off.
We could also just kind of, well, we're spending too long in this segment, but we'll decide next time. My top 10 in reverse is Dreams in Darkness, Perchance to Dream, Eternal Youth. Nothing to see here is what, actually nothing to see her is what Brian wrote in number 1.
What? Did that last E not come up for you?
Not yet.
What?
Number 10, Dreams in Darkness. Then there it is. Perchance to Dream, Eternal Youth, Beware the Grey Ghost, The Man Who Killed Batman, Almost Got Him, Heart of Ice, Two-Face Part 1, Feet of Clay Part 2, and On Leather Wings, Nothing to See Here.
Damn.
Yeah. Can you retype it in there? Yeah. On Pleather Things. No. Okay. So Brian.
Yes. Oh, nice. So we're just gonna erase On Leather Wings completely.
No. I have changed my number 1 to Robin's Reckoning Part 1. This is something I knew was going to happen from the start of this podcast. And I'm really glad that it held up because I was actually pretty worried. I haven't watched this episode in a few years. And I know, and I thought I was thinking earlier, like, okay, because I had that Robin VHS tape with this on it, does that like I've seen it so many more times than any other episode, does that influence my decision? And it might slightly. Probably. But then I thought about how I also had the Poison Ivy tape that I watched just as much, and Eternal Youth is number 9 right now, but the other one that's on that, we haven't gotten to the other one, but I'm just saying I don't think I find those Poison Ivy episodes to be as like, holy shit, this is great, as the Robin one, even though I've seen them all, those ones countless times as well. I think it probably helps it that it's just a favorite of mine because I've seen it so many times. But even if it was in its I've seen it just as many times as anything else, it's still very good. So. I
mean, this won an Emmy.
Yeah, it's got a lot going for it.
And I could see Part 2. Like I feel like I'm numbering this a little bit low because this is like, I do agree. Like this is probably.
What's too low? What are you talking about?
Well, I feel like I'm like proactively numbering this lower than maybe I feel because I think this might, like, I think that I could agree that it's better than Heart of Ice and Feet of Clay Part 2.
Ooh.
But I feel like I'm being hesitant because there's a Part 2, and I think that's why I chose it at number 3. Am I wrong to do that?
It's your list. You can decide.
Yeah.
The thing that I've noticed about so far is like when we watched Heart of Ice, it was only like the 7th or something episode we watched, and so compared to everything we'd watched prior to that, of course, except for On Leather Wings, naturally, you were so like, oh my god, like a gorilla is a really good episode, and it is a really good episode, but like I think that and this is not anything that I'm telling you should change or think differently about or whatever. It's just an observation of like, I think your top 10, it has a different influence than mine does because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm trying really hard not to do that. I'm not like, I'm trying to base it on just pretending I've only also seen just this much or whatever.
Yeah.
But like when I look at your list, it is definitely respectable. Like I agree that these are all top 10 episodes, but I would order them personally differently, especially knowing like, because I'm looking at, you've got Feet of Clay Part 2 had a really good ending with Clayface freaking out and flapping all over the place, and the animation was amazing. And then not like the rest of the episode's bad, but it's like, is that enough for it to be at your number 2, that kind of a thing. But I won't tell you what to do. That's just my
I think it's harder, and I know that like people also have like their different. I'm sure there's people out there that are like, man, you got a weird list. But I will also say, as someone just going through it for the first time, and someone who generally like, I feel like I need to like experience things like 2 or 3 times to like really make them set in. Like I have like vivid moments and things that like Heart of Ice and like why it hit me. And I'm like, oh, it's just such a good story. And like the art doesn't really sell it for me either. So it's mostly about like the storyline is what my list is consisting of. But like, I don't remember most of Heart of Ice. So I'm just kind of going on the like the emotional impact of what it left.
Which I think that's totally fine because like I think we're both going to agree that the best episodes are the ones that are going to like not just be this stupid little Batman punches some guys and they get away the end. Like it has like a Robin's Reckoning or Heart of Ice level emotional impact, or it's like an Almost Got Him, Man Who Killed Batman kind of a deal where like we get a really good character interactions and like
it's super original and all these things.
Yeah. And so I think everything on both of our lists fall into one of those two categories, and the anything coming up, even if you're like, I couldn't not tell you what Joker's Favor is about kind of a thing, it's still on there because at that time you saw it as like deserving of being on the list. Deserving. Yeah. Anyway, books or hip hop? We forgot to do that. Is this books or hip hop?
This is
Yeah,
books.
it's a tough. Yeah, I think it's books too, but not in the same way books have been other episodes, you know?
Yeah.
It's got like a sprinkling of hip hop at a couple moments, but I think that the book, it's a really solid book. It's like it's a really well written book. What?
It's like this book.
The Book Thief.
Oh, this is such a good book.
Marcus Zuzak.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is Editing James interrupting really quick before the mail segment, just in case, there's some of you that skipped the mail segment, and I don't want you to miss this. On Sunday, 2 days from when this episode of the podcast drops, September 18th, we are premiering on the Watchtower Database YouTube channel our Will It Canon episode on Batman and Harley Quinn. I would love for all of you to be there, whether you're in the chat or not. You could be in the chat. Being in the chat is awesome. Joining us on Sunday for the big live premiere. This is a video that we've been working on for upwards of 5 years in terms of the research and build up over other videos, working on revisions of the script, getting costumes and everything ready for this, and, the funny virus that was going around that kind of delayed it a little bit. We filmed this almost a year ago, and it has been consuming my every minute of editing time when I'm not working on other videos on the channel. It is by far the biggest video we have ever done in terms of production quality. We have locations, we have costumes, we have actors, we have a cartoon character in the video from a Justice League episode. Me, Ted, and Maddie are all in the video. It is the ultimate, but not penultimate, because that means second to last, Will It Canon episode. You do not want to miss this. So please join us on Sunday. It's going to be around noon. You'll see the video pop up in your notifications or on Discord or Twitter or Instagram, everything that you follow us on. And if you're not up to date with our channel story, I would highly recommend at least catching our Batman The Adventures Continue Will It Canon, the Multiverse Revisited video, and the Poison Ivy Plant or Person video that we just put out a couple months ago. Those are kind of the direct lead-ups to this video. There will definitely be a previously on the Watchtower Database style little segment at the start. So if you don't have time to watch those and just want to catch the premiere of this, all is well, but I would highly recommend those videos if you're looking for easy ketchup and mustard and all the other condiments. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure I got that in the podcast, talking to you guys directly about this. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And now it is time for Yoppie Mail. Here it is. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, here we are, definitely not the next day, recording mail.
Same day.
We drop our weekly yachts.
Oh yeah, those.
Into the comment box.
First.
There sure was a lot.
Now Jamie's mad.
Too bad
So
we're
mad.
all
At least I am.
just Dylan Pollock.
Some demonic hell creature that says, at least I am, every time.
I do need to actually like re-export that so it's a little more.
Oh, we'll get Kimmy's Yoppie Mail v2.mp3 or whatever.
Yep.
Or maybe, I think actually that was like v5 or something that you sent me.
3? I think that was 3.
Okay. Well, so we'll meet in the middle of 2 and 5. Right? That's how that
4
works.
point
Yeah.
nothing.
No. Yeah. I'm so sorry. This is the mail section. We have, I said last time we do double mail because the Dan Reba episode went really long. However, also the Robin's Reckoning episode has gone really long, but I'm still going to do double mail because why not? Okay, you're here for it. I told you it'd happen. This first one comes from Tip Tapricot, a special occasion contemplation. I was originally going to make a regular message with episode details, but instead...
It's been 50 episodes of yops and goofs and laughs. It's been 50 weeks and more of a board filled with laugh tracks. Batman has been kind to us, except for when he's not. But we've still pushed past all the sewer king brain rot. And now that we're here on a magical episode, I'm just so excited for what comes down the road.
Oh, that's great.
Happy 50 episodes.
Thank you. Yeah, there's your applause track. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Well done. Well done, friend.
Too talented of listener.
It's a little overwhelming, isn't it?
When Dylan split his Horcrux soul into 1,700 sock puppets, it actually enhanced each Horcrux or whatever. Not to say that Dylan can't sing. I don't know. I've never heard him try. Guess he'll have to next time. Give us a Yoppie song next mail segment. Yeah, thank you, Tip Tapricot. This next one is from Scarloey, a Yoppie sub podcast. It's recently come to my attention that you will not be covering the most forgotten DCAU show, Earl, the animated series. So I thought I should do a podcast within a podcast to keep Brick up to speed with this important part of the DCAU. Oh, boy.
Hello, listener. Welcome to Jump on the Mechanic Wagon. I'm your host, Scarloey1. In this episode, I will talk about the episode The Magician of the Fender Bender. After the Batmobile gets into a fender bender with the Joker now style, Earl must order a new fender from Houdini Auto Parts. That's all that happens. Yeah, this show's kind of boring. No wonder James and Brick aren't watching it. Anyway, see you next week. Same PV time, same poo-poo channel.
It is a show that we're skipping over because it just didn't. It got just as good of ratings as "Dude, Where's My Batmobile?" So,
yeah. Oh
we figured
yeah.
After we watched that one, we're like, no more of that. I can't do that.
Mm-mm.
From Scotty Cameron, Ragunzel, let down your guns. Hey, Yoppie dudes, great episode as always. I gotta say the Joker's monologue was definitely a highlight of the episode. This is from Man Who Killed Batman. I had seen Mark Hamill give that monologue at the Star Wars convention before I actually saw the episode. All around, I love the episode. It's definitely top 10 worthy Brother Broderick Brick Broderickleys. Zatanna is a Batman's origin story episode that introduces heroes from the broader DC universe like Zatanna and Zatara. This is what I alluded to in my criticism of Off Balance, where it only introduces Count Vertigo but not Green Arrow. Here we have a villain for Zatanna, and it's used to introduce Zatanna. Also, I like that we get glimpses of Batman's origin story and Zatanna being a flame to Batman. The villain was forgettable, and I can't remember his name. I just remember his scheme of trying to frame Zatanna for a crime, and him being a Nostromo's lookalike, if I recall correctly. Like Fat Nostromo, I guess. Yeah. I'll rewatch it between now and the podcast episode to refresh my memory.
Is that his hip hop name? Fat
Nostromo, yeah, with a PH. I didn't know that the Avenged Sevenfold frontman had surgery on his vocal cords. Interesting. Avenged Sevenfold is a band I've been meaning to listen to for a while. Right now I've been listening to The Architects, Within Temptation, Parkway Drive, Bad Omens, and Ice Nine Kills recently. I think it's a bad omen that I'm digging those bands. Stay Yoppie. I haven't heard of most of those, but maybe Maddie has or something.
I mean, I feel like bad omen. I mean, if you're enjoying something, enjoy it. And and do not hesitate.
Yes.
To enjoy.
Do what you want to do. Okay, unless it's murdering people, don't do that. This is from Keen Machine. Attention, jury summons. And this is all written in like typewriter font.
Oh God.
Greetings, James and Brian. You are hereby summoned to appear in court to serve as jurors in the pending trial of Keen Machine v. Dear Listener. Date today, time immediately, location Yoppie Court. Reasons that would disqualify you from serving. None, nope, nada. Please note, trials may run longer than expected, but we do guarantee you will be compensated for your time with maximum entertainment. Thank you for serving your community. Keep it keen. P.S. Happy 50th episode.
Thank you.
The trial you are witnessing is real. These are actual listeners of the podcast. The parties have agreed to have their disputes settled in a dramatic public display for maximum entertainment right here in our forum. Welcome to Yoppie Court.
The crossovers of these.
Court is now in session for the case of King Machine versus the dear listener. Please state your position.
Your Honor, I'm seeking justice on behalf of my clients as Keen Machine clearly broke Yoppie law by being featured not once, not twice, but 3 times in last week's episode.
Defendant, how do you plead?
My client pleads not guilty, Your Honor.
I call the defendant to the stand. Keen Machine, is it true that you had 3 voice messages featured in last week's episode?
Yes, it is.
And yet you don't find that in direct conflict with the established rules.
Overruled. I want to hear this.
While unusual, I am of the conviction that this unique situation is not beyond the scope of Yoppie law in any fashion. Irregular does not mean wrong.
Except when it does. No further questions. Defense's witness.
No time. You know the best decisions are made in haste with limited information. On to the defense's closing statement.
James and Brian of the jury.
Yes.
While it is true that my client, Keen Machine, was featured 3 times on last week's episode, we must note that each of these messages was sent on a different week. The first was late in its arrival, thus it was aired in the following episode. The second was in response to what should have been next week's episode before the delay was made public. And the third, that was sent after yet another week had passed. Therefore, this case, while idiosyncratic in nature, is not antithetical to the spirit of Yoppie law. How will this case end? What will the jury decide? If found guilty, what is the penalty? Is any of this even enforceable? Tune in next time to catch the ending of Yoppie Court.
A Keen Machine production.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Oh God, top it off with a stinger. I love it.
Yeah, we have to like up the production value of the podcast before the mail section takes over. Did we really have 3? I thought we had 2 Keen Machine voice messages. I don't know. Maybe
I'm not even going to question it. When someone puts that much work into a message, you could say 40. I'd be like, yeah, 40 voice messages.
You're right. We did 40. Do that. Yeah. Well, this time being double mail, I don't think counts against because it's double mail. So
I mean, we could 2. Have it. Although let's make it a little more awkward because then maybe we'll get another episode of Yoppie Court.
This week we're supposed to have only half a voice message. Yeah. So anyone going over half a voice message is in direct violation.
But are we supposed to actually make a decision on the trial?
Oh, I think we're supposed to find out next time on Yoppie Court. That's what it told me at the end there.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
I really love the mix of Judge Judy and the Ace Attorney video game inside of this. Objection! And all this stuff. The 8-bit soundtrack.
I'm blown away. I'm so happy.
I'm sorry that anyone has to follow that up. We got Scotty Cameron about downtown Dan Reba Brown. That's what I called the last episode, if you hadn't seen. Hey, Yoppie Dudes, it was an amazing show. Thanks to Dan Reba. Oh, yeah, okay. Rewatching Zatanna made me notice a lot of the things Dan Reba was pointing out about the episode. I also was reminded of The Prestige and Saw 5 when I see the you and Saw movies, I guess. They're not bad. They're not terrible. Montague Cain's characterization reminded me of Hugh Jackman's Robert Angiers from The Prestige. Angiers, I don't know. Zatanna, Christian Bale's Alfred Borden. I just watched that movie not too long ago, and it is excellent. I don't know if you've seen it before.
I haven't.
It's really good. I've been realizing that I often judge quality of TV shows and movies by how many times it makes me. I realize that my mouth is just open and I'm going like, oh fuck, and that movie had me doing that like 60 times. I'll save my thoughts for Robin's Reckoning for part 2. I'll just say when Brian heard the title Robin's Reckoning and his first guess was Batman's origin story will always be hilarious to me. And last we have Keen Machine. Robin's Reckoning Part 1. Finally, what we've all been waiting for, Batman's, crossed out, Robin's origin story. And then, oops, forgot to attach my voice message. And then here it is.
Greetings. My lawyer says I'm not supposed to make any public statements until my trial is over, but hey, Robin's Reckoning Part 1. Good episode. Keep it keen.
You're not wrong. It is a good episode.
Short and sweet. Maybe our double mail is not going to be that long after all.
Maybe. We'll see how YouTube comments go. We got some voice messages on Anchor. This first one's from Jordan Blumen, GCN Musical Minute. I assume this is for The Man Who Killed Batman.
It's GCN, Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. Tonight's top story, a magician was arrested, and then Batman said she didn't do anything wrong, and then she was not arrested, and that's all that happened as far as I can tell. Now over the music. Jamie, last week you pulled up an example of the Dies Irae, and you pulled up Mozart's Dies Irae, which is very cool. I had been talking about the original Latin chant from long before Mozart. Dies Irae, Dies Illa. Those first four notes there are really something to listen to anytime you're watching something. You'll be shocked how often it comes up. It's the melody for Making Christmas from Nightmare Before Christmas. It's also the theme of the old man from Home Alone. Every time he shows up and scares the hell out of Kevin McAllister, you hear this dramatic da-da-da-da. Anyway, all this is just to say that they used that in this episode, and I was so happy to hear it.
They did? Okay. I wasn't even listening for it at that point. We had been recording before we knew about this thing. I'm sorry I used the wrong one, Jordan. Dylan Pollock, Abracabatra.
It's time for the Thoughts of the Week with Dylan Pollock on Zatanna, or what do you mean a mirror was used to make the money disappear? That doesn't make any sense. All right, moving on. I wish this had happened earlier in the season so we could see District Attorney Harvey Dent seriously prosecute a magician while Harvey Bullock goes, what investigation, Commish? The money was there, then it was gone. It had to be heard. Also, the escape is really solely the fault of the Gotham police. We're not putting anyone with a magician in handcuffs. You think if the NYPD arrests David Blaine, they take their eyes off of that guy? I don't think so. So let's get to the question of the week. And because this is such a forgettable episode, sorry, I almost forgot to mention this is James' favorite part. Get excited, James.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a forgettable episode, if you were a magician, what episode so far would you make disappear? Not necessarily the worst episode, because we can enjoy episodes for being bad, like The Sewer King. Yes, we can. But what is the most uninteresting episode that you'd say, it really wouldn't matter if that didn't exist, we can erase it? Let me know.
Sewer King.
A lot of people were defending It's Never Too Late, the train PTSD episode, but it was very boring to us, and nothing was exciting. Nothing was got us energized either direction, positively or negatively. It was just like, oh my god, I'm falling asleep. I'd probably poof that one away. Sorry, everybody. I'll keep the Sewer King, even though he makes us mad, because we've had such a good time, you know.
I guess that's
ragging on the Sewer King.
There's some value in that. You know what? Actually, I'd like to, restore.
Poof away on leather wings.
Jamie, that was gonna be my joke.
Yeah, I beat you too. I knew what you were gonna do.
Oh, God, I'm too predictable. All right, I'm gonna go to bed.
All right. We have a message from Scarface Nate. Let's see what this is.
Sweet.
Why, hello, James and Brian.
Hey.
It's the magical time, and B-Task has finally turned 30. Wow.
30?
Man, has it been a fun ride. Now that I've made you guys feel old,
So
I want to talk about Zatanna, one of the DCAU's first ever crossovers. Now, I don't really know much about her, so I'm probably going to end up being like Brick. All I know is that she's magic, and I just started Young Justice, so yeah. Anyway, this episode's really good. It's nice seeing Bruce's backstory, as it always is, and seeing the bittersweet relationship between Zatanna and Bruce, as it always is with his relationships. and that's all I'll say on that matter. The only problem is that the villain feels flat. But, whatever. Especially the henchman. The villain died. I don't care what anyone says. They died. We didn't see them get arrested with Kane, I believe his name is. So yeah, they're dead. No one can tell me otherwise. Stay Yoppie.
I will
So
stay
yeah,
Yoppie.
they're dead.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That we didn't talk about this. That on the 5th or 6th of this month was the 30th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, that's
so
sweet.
Here we are, 50 episodes in 30 years. It took us 30 years to do 50 episodes.
I think that's a pretty good hit rate.
Yeah, I mean, Zatanna was okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be with Dan Reba being like, I hated this. But
I feel like just the conversation for me made the episode more enjoyable, just to hear like that much more, backstory and all stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting to see that kind of thing. Jordan Blumen voice message. I think this one might be for Robin's Reckoning. I cannot tell you. I'm so lost. Who knows? We'll find out.
It's GCN, Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. It's a quiet night in Gotham tonight, folks, as Batman and Robin stopped a couple of thugs from blowing up a construction site. I'm not really sure why they wanted to do that, but thanks, Batman and Robin. Now over to the music. This week, I actually want to talk about the importance of silence in a score. Where not to use music. Because in this episode, there are plenty of dramatic moments and conversations, like Batman and Robin fighting. Or after that, there's no score in those moments. They just let it sit in silence. And I think that can be a very powerful choice to accent the drama of something. They did use some sad strings where Bruce and Dick are talking about the deaths of their parents, and that was also very effective.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of this episode is just like atmospheric Batcave sound effects and things like that, and rustling bush noise, play fire dice in an alleyway sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty big tendency to edit things almost like a music video, where it's like you always gotta have music, gotta have music. But it can't override. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be a sad time. We need sad music. But I think a lot of times that silence speaks volumes.
And it brings your attention more to the goings-on screen, and you're not like, oh, okay, that's a little cheesy, what's going on in the thing. Right. I did really like the music in Robin's Reckoning, which was a little surprising because it was one of those guys that like we barely see on these episodes. And so like not a name that I recognize, so it's just like good job, guy. That I don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure if I was like super keen on the whole like reusing Batman in my basement. They kind of like played that one to death, but otherwise
we didn't even have a basement in this episode.
Oh,
Dylan Pollock, get wrecked, noob. See, he predicted our wrecked joke already.
He did.
Without even hearing the episode.
That's why he's our third host.
He's here the whole time. Yeah,
he's literally here the whole time.
He is. Yeah, he sits next to me.
Me too. I sit with Dylan.
Hello, it's time for the thoughts of the week from Dylan Pollock on Robin's Reckoning, a.k.a. Batman's Belligerence, a.k.a. Boy Wonder Backstabbed, a.k.a. I could go on. Scumbucket and Bay. You guys think it's just saving money, or is there a thematic reason why the voice of Tony Suko is also the voice of Robin's father? I was like, is there a weird thing going on? Does that mean something? I think it's probably just that they wanted the additional voice for free. Also, Gordon's hair went white super fast, because this has to only be like 8 years ago, right? Job adds years, I guess. I mean, it's probably pretty stressful.
Fair.
Also, I think personally, this episode deserves 5 safety nets the Flying Graysons should have used out of 5. And boy, oh boy, Kevin Conroy has come a long way in these 51 episodes, because all the voice acting is amazing in this episode. So let's get to the question of the week, James' favorite part. James, Brian, if you were in charge of recasting Batman for a rebooted DCEU, who would be your Batman? And what role would you put Kevin Conroy in?
You
tell me.
Flip these things on me, and I have no prep time like Batman. Oh my God, I don't know.
Gary Oldman.
That could be interesting.
Full stop. I bet he'd be great.
He's got the Batman movie experience.
Oh, that's right, because he played Gordon, right?
Yeah.
No, he could do no wrong.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that because I'm too invested. I'm too in, you know.
Kevin
There's too many
Conroy,
options.
I think if I had to cast him as something, like
the Batmobile.
The voice of the Batmobile. The Bat computer voice. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. That'd actually be pretty good. Did you know the thing about the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise computer voice?
No.
It's the guy that invented the show's wife is the voice of the computer.
Oh.
So that'd be a sort of similar like deal there, I think. Yeah, or just put Richard Mole. Kevin Conroy as computer. And then last we have one more Dylan Pollock for double mail. Aggrandizing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me words. Marketing message from Dylan. I forgot it says premieres at 1 p.m. Okay.
Sorry, Jimbo and Brian. One more thing. Since James has not made me the third official Yoppie dude, what I am doing is I am launching my own podcast. It's going to be called Movies to Watch Before You Die, and it actually premieres today, Friday, September 16th.
Oh my God.
So if you want to watch it, you can find it on anchor.fm/movies to watch, Movies to Watch Before You Die on YouTube or on Spotify. Thank you guys, and hopefully you might want to hear some more of me, even though you get a lot of me already. Thanks, James. Sorry this took so much time.
No, good job self-plugging. If that's a real thing, because I'm only 99% sure it is, since I know who you are. Brian's looking it up right now.
Yep. Oh.
Those are all the voice messages, though, while Brian looks it up. We'll find it. Yeah, if you're listening to this right now, also go listen to that. Apparently there's an episode out. Maybe someday Brian will make his podcast, but it's not today.
And not today, fools.
Not today, as Brian is prone to say.
And there's a reason for that.
Because it's not today.
Truth.
Yeah, okay. This is comments on The Man Who Killed Batman, or Reguns Will Let Down Your Guns, on the Podtower YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the Podtower, youtube.com/thepodtower. Scrudge. I really related to this episode because I, too, really hate it when my big pile of money turns out to be a hologram created by mirrors. Yeah, I feel that. Ashley Tutchin, this episode is one of my all-time favorites. It definitely has some of the best Joker moments. I'm looking forward to next week since it introduces one of my favorite DC characters into BTAS. Also, watching Mark Hamill do his Joker will never get old to me. There's no denying the man puts everything into his performance. You really don't get the full experience until you've seen how it looks in the recording booth. Yeah, that was kind of your takeaway, too, watching him do it as a person. Deductionist. Hi, Jim Jam and Brick. Another solid episode. I had my brother in the car with me for this listen. You got both of us to burst out in laughter with the plankton impressions and the Earl Cooper staring out the window bit. So thank you for giving us the shared laugh. As far as this episode goes, it's one of my favorites. I especially love the Joker eulogy, like many others. I'm also glad you brought up the noises that Sid makes as he struggles with Batman, because that always made me laugh as a kid. Anyway, today, the day I am commenting, marks the 30th anniversary of BTAS. So happy 30th, Yoppie dudes. Looking forward to the next episode. Stay Yoppie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Productions. Scotty Cameron, it's about Zatanna. Oh, Brian knows that character. It's a new villain. Oh, he doesn't know who it is. Yeah, it did seem like for a second that maybe you knew, but nope.
Yep.
Wency209, TV show, has an episode titled The Death of Main Character, and clearly still has 27 more episodes and 8 seasons left after it. Every 5-year-old, no, they killed off main character, I'm sad now. Yeah. Levi Church, I just looked at the SpongeBob wiki, and apparently there'll be an episode soon where SpongeBob gets a job at the Salty Spittoon. I think that's the episode that I saw most recently that the Biff guy is doing a voice in. Because it said like Spittoon Guards or something like that as a creditor. I don't know.
Nice.
I wonder if he was one of those guys in that episode. Wishbone says the Mr. Freeze gag is 100% the best gag, and I hope it appears every episode, regardless of how fitting it is. It hasn't for a couple now, except unless you count that, I guess. Banana Man says okay.
Okay.
Lanola Cola, in honor of Sid the Squid, I dubbed the hosts of the podcast James the Jaguar, Brother Broderick the Badger, Dylan Pollock the Delibird, and Keen Machine the Keen Machine. Also, no wonder I love this episode. It's a sunrise episode. It always works out.
Also, I just wanted to say, Banana Man Says Okay has made it into my everyday life.
Just when you went to see okay, you just says Banana Man Says okay.
A lot of times, like something specifically between like Kimmy and I. And instead of just saying okay, You can just say like Banana Man says, or just Banana Man says okay.
Or just Banana Man. I'm glad that this is leaking into actual discussion.
I just appreciate the tenacity of having the same comment every time. I adore that.
Scarloe got the first comment this time on this one.
Whoa!
I'm a yopper with a simple dream, a dream of destroying Mark Aquino, and this is my first step. And Mark Aquino said, "You're a worthy opponent. I concede to you." Those are the comments on that episode. Let's check out the comments on the most recent episode, Zatanna.
Yeah,
it's Dan Reba.
Zatanna.
Zidana.
Oh,
that was a better name, and I didn't do it.
What we should have done.
That's okay. Yeah, nothing was popping out, so I'm like, we had a whole discussion about who Julie Brown is. So, Serum Lake. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. It gave me strong Batman the Animated Podcast vibes, thanks to Dan Reba on. Looking forward to his return. Yeah, Batman the Animated Podcast, every episode almost has like a person who worked on the show. They haven't done an episode in a little while, but it's really good for us finding little nuggets of info that you don't hear anywhere else.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I'll take the compliment. Nick Sorensen, I found Zatanna to be an all right episode, much like other episodes of one of the more interesting parts was seeing more of Bruce's past training, pretty much explaining where he learned all his escape tricks and those classic disappearing acts he likes to pull on Gordon all the time. Getting Dan Reba to join you for this one's awesome. Hope he comes back again from any of the later episodes he's involved with. Yeah, I've already talked to him about that. He wants to come back. So
yeah.
I'm sure he will be.
I never really thought about like Bruce Man. Just like doing the disappearing things on Gordon, just to be like, oh, I remember I used to do this one. I'm gonna give him the old 22, and he like does
When Zatara taught me how to hide behind a dumpster,
yeah,
and I'm gonna do that now, just to fuck with this guy. Batgirl Fangirl. So cool to have Dan on the show. I enjoyed this so much. Really insightful. He answered a lot of questions I've always had about the episode and BTAS in general. I hope he returns in the future. I do actually like the episode, Zatanna. Good plot, well-paced, great voice acting. Batman's technique for escaping the nasty trap was innovative. Zatanna was used well, although she could have had more to do. Yes, she could have. The highlights for me were both the flashback and the climax, our heroes hanging out in the back of the flying wing like the living daylights. I also agree the animation could have been better, but there were some really good bits as well. Wonderful podcast, very well done, 5 stars, and 5 giant hologram reflecting hidden mirrors.
Thank you.
KM, I think this episode might be on a top 10 best podcast episodes list. It's really cool to have Dan Reba on the podcast.
Wow.
I hope he returns on better episodes that he directed, episodes he won't say, what were we thinking? My picks would be, James, don't read the episode titles if you think they're spoilery. Okay, I won't. As you know, I count 2-parters as one episode, so I'll write my thoughts about Robin's Reckoning for the podcast about part 2.
Okay.
Not Pew Pew Part 2 is happening right now. Wednesday 209. It's so cool to see your guest star as someone who actually worked on the show. Hope you two have a yappy day.
Thanks. You too.
Ian Thompson. You haven't listened to the most recent episode, so you won't know what he's talking about. But he said, I'm really glad you clarified your goofy movie trivia downtown Jamie Jamboree, because for a second I was getting anxiety for how wrong you were. I had said that Julie Brown had voiced a specific goofy movie character and then quoted the wrong quote. So I edited in myself saying the right quote.
Oh, nice.
Luckily you got it. Thank God. On a more pertinent note, I love this podcast episode. Always great hearing from Dan Reba. As for the episode in discussion, I always liked it, but I can definitely see the stuff that irks Dan. I always remembered seeing this as it first aired on a Friday because I remembered going to laser tag for a friend's birthday directly after seeing it. But as it aired on a Tuesday, either it was a weird Tuesday birthday party or I caught a rerun later and I'm misremembering, which of course is unacceptable. So weird Tuesday party it is. The flashback and training lore is my favorite part of the episode. It was my first introduction to Zatanna, so overall not bad. It definitely left an impression. It was asked before, I think, but I have seen every episode of Bat-Wagon from the beginning. Thanks for stoking my nostalgia. Keep up the hoppy job. I think you mean Yoppie, but I'll let it slide. I'm gonna take you to Yoppie Court. Dun, 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 dun. I gotta get that on the soundboard. Just that whole clip.
Just the whole, just put that whole voicemail.
Did I ever tell you about the Chuck E. Cheese birthday party I had as a kid where someone got me a Batman action figure?
No.
I'm sitting at the end of the table like the little king that I am, and there's rows of my guests.
Subjects.
Yeah, subjects. And the presents are being like handed around in a circle to me, like down the line, and I'm like opening them up one by one, and I distinctly remember being like, oh yay, thank you, oh yay, thank you, like to each one, like something like that.
Yeah.
And then I got to this one that was a Batman action figure I already had, and I just said, oh, and then passed it off and kept going. I'm like 5 or whatever. And I had like a huge discussion with my parents in the car after that. Like, you can't just do that. It's not okay. That kid was very sad that he... So I think about that a lot, you know.
Well, knowing the way that your brain works, yeah, I'm sure that's something that's like haunted you every time you've opened a present for your entire life.
Yeah, whenever I get a Batman action figure I already have, I just think about that. It does haunt me. Levi Church, I was glad to be able to watch a podcast with one of my favorite Galvins, Dreba. There's a character on Ben 10, because Dan Reba also worked on that, named Dreba, obviously named after Dan Reba. There's also one that's like Blukik or something for Butch Lukic. It's a whole thing. We'll get to him. He'll be a director on Justice League and stuff. But
cool.
Lenola Cola. I don't think Dan Reba answered if this was books or hip hop. No, he said books. Personally, I think this episode was books. And after mentioning her, I hope Andrea Romano comes on the podcast as the voice director, perhaps for a DCAU movie. I don't even know how the hell they get a hold of her, because she's like way past retired at this point. I don't know. Maybe that's something we could try to make happen. But I would hate to have her. I say I'd hate to have her on the podcast before the channel, because I like Dan Reba being on here was like, oh, we know Dan Reba, he's a cool dude, and we're just gonna hang out. If you're just like, Andrea Romano, for the first time I've ever talked to you, please come on this stupid ass podcast of ours. I don't think I'll be coming back.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool podcast.
I think you're a pretty cool podcast.
I think you're... and then move you to the side.
Dang it. Deduction is, what's up, James and Brian? One of my favorite episodes yet. I always love when you guys get the chance to have Dan Reba on for anything. Such a fun and loving guy, full of good info and good laughs. I really liked getting his take on the episode, even if it wasn't his favorite. Overall, I thought this episode was definitely entertaining, and always enjoyed the Batman Zatanna. Have also pronounced it Zatanna forever. Friendship in the shows. Really looking forward to next week's episode. Like many, I feel like this is the set of episodes we were waiting for Brian to see. There are 2 extremely solid episodes. Hope you both enjoy Robin's Reckoning.
Yeah, and we did.
Yeah, we did. At least part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Comics, congrats, got to 50 episodes. It's kind of cool that you guys can just say, yeah, my best friend is Dan Reba. I don't want to say best friend, but he's up there.
I mean, but also just saying, like, you can say that. It might be a lie, but anybody can say that.
Yeah, anyone can say that. It's true.
Well, maybe not anyone, but you know what I'm saying.
Tip Tappercott wasn't able to send a voice message in this week, but this was such a fun episode. Mentioned to Brian in person. Oh yeah, you guys met.
I couldn't remember if we said it.
Yeah, I don't think we said it on the podcast.
Tip Tappercott came out to the gallery opening, and it was super awesome to hang out.
You had said on the podcast, hey, come to the darkroom thing, and then they did.
They showed up, and the height difference was amazing.
Amazing. Mentioned to Brian in person that what I love about this podcast, it inherently makes old fans look at episodes in a new light from the lens of someone seeing it for the first time. And it's so cool you guys got to do that for Dan as well. And now for Robin's Reckoning. So excited we're finally here. This is one of my all-time favorite BTAS episodes because the relationship between Dick and Bruce is close to my heart, and I always enjoy seeing different takes on it. Plus, it explores their growth, the tension in their relationship, the ups and downs of family. So excited to see y'all's thoughts on it, along with all the yops from last week. Yeah, we liked it.
As you
liked
said
in the episode. We didn't have one shitty thing to say except that painting or whatever.
Yeah. I still want to, screen cap that, blow it up, and maybe hang it on my wall. Put it on my mantle.
You said it was going to be your profile picture on all social media.
But I feel like I need more of a... I need to wake up and have that be the first thing I see.
First thing is it's on the ceiling. Just her face, not the whole painting. Scrudge says he finally caught up on the backlog of Bat-Wagon episodes.
Whoa.
P.S. I rewatched Cat in the Claw and I didn't notice the fire hand. I did go back and it doesn't look as much like a hand as we said, but it's there. Mark Aquino says, I may or may not be second this week, but I don't feel like number 2, and no one can take that feeling away from me. Anywho, no elaborate stories today, folks. I want to be genuine with this. I remember as a very young boy reading one of those golden books, pictures books, but this one was called Batman and the Magician, and I loved it. It was basically a retelling of this very episode, but I didn't realize it until years later when I watched BTS all the way through for the first time. So yes, that picture book with Zatanna was indeed my first exposure to Batman, the animated series, and the Yoptastic DCAU as a whole. Pretty cool that you guys got the Dan Reba on the podcast. He seems like a legit good guy. Top that, Yop Tower. More like Yop Pansies, am I right? Oh, don't take the clip of me saying that. I didn't say that. Mark Aquino said that. All the best to you. Hit me, Jamie, one more time. And to you, my one true love, brother Brian Broderick. Brushy, breaking bricks and Brussels sprouts brimming with brilliance, braggadocio, bruh. Praise to our Lord and Savior Dylan Pollock and his disciples, Scarloy, Batgirl, Fangirl, Scotty Cameron, Wency, etc. Very excited for both parts of Robin's Reckoning. Can't wait until then. Smoke bomb! And then a bunch of smoke emojis. Yeah, those golden books, Brian can see. I've got this whole bookshelf full of them behind me.
I can see.
The DCAU books in general. But yeah, those are some of the hardest ones to get a hold of because they didn't print as many back in the day, and they're also 30 years old now, and I don't know how to get those. I don't think I have that Magician one. I've got one there's one called like Batman and the egg or something, the magic egg or something like that. It's like a Fabergé egg that the Penguin's trying to steal or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Ashley Tutchin, no Yoppie Mail? I see. So now you're hanging out with cool new friends like Dan Reba. You've forgotten all about the listener. Cut to James and Brick at Paul Dini's fancy black tie birthday party. Dan's about to introduce them to Kevin Conroy, but he can see they're conflicted. Go to them, he says with a sad smile. James and Brick run through to catch the listener as they're heading for the airport. But what about Dan, they say. James and Brian smile, we choose you. And then they make out passionately with Dylan Pollock. Seriously, though, it was great to hear Dan. I hope he'll be back for more. It's also pretty cool that he was on for the week of BTAS's 30th anniversary, giving this episode a little extra significance. Yeah, that was cool, Ben. We totally realized that was happening. So, yeah. Banana Man says okay.
Okay.
And then very last, we got Scar Lowy. First, take that, Mark Aquino. Edit, never mind. Because there was this weird thing going on where it looked like Mark Aquino got first, but then Scar Lowy had gotten first. But then Mark Aquino edited his comment to say the other stuff, and it bumped it to second. And then so Dylan Pollock had said, I have no clue who was first, got distracted by some kind of smoke bomb. That's all the comments. That's the mail section. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah. Jamie.
What?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to make that sound like sad. It sounds too like I think a thing is cute. I want to disappointed.
You gotta like drag them.
Oh,
don't
man.
Go up. Go down.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I guess. Harvey. There we go. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to reach out to us like
Jamie.
the fire hand at the end of the Cat in the Claw Part 2. What?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I guess. God damn it. You can email us. What are you saying thank you for? What the fuck is wrong with you?
This is like, I'm just so sleep deprived this week. Everything's funny.
Yeah, I know. Podcast at watchtowerdatabase.com or anchor.fm/Bat-Wagon. You can send a voice message on there. Just do one. We're not doing double mail again, unless something gets fucky again. But not next time. New episodes of the podcast are released every Friday on the Podtower YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast feed and watchtowerdatabase.com. And the next episode, Brian, you want to take a gander at what it's called?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think it's called?
Batman's Reckoning, Part 1.
Batman's Reckoning?
Yep. That's
so your
probably it.
assumption is that the next episode is Robin's Reckoning Part 2, right?
No.
Nope.
No, that wouldn't make sense.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, the next episode is called Birds of a Feather.
Because of air date order?
Uh-huh.
Oh, God. Are you serious?
It's only separated by one episode, but it is separated.
Oh, fuckers.
Robin drove away, and then an entire episode happened while he was gone. And
I'm going to go ahead and assume this is Robin's origin story.
Birds of a Feather? Yeah, okay. What if that was the case? It was just Robin's Reckoning Part 1, and then Birds of a Feather was Part 2.
But that could make sense. But I'm going to guess that it's like a Thelma and Louise thing, but with Robin and the Penguin.
Okay.
And they're going to drive a car not off of a cliff, but into a basement.
Yeah, there has to be a basement. I have to be on the lookout for a basement in this episode.
Basement time. We're getting basement heavy.
It is a Penguin episode, so it needs to be on the lookout for a basement and that music. And then also just whether it's good or not, because I'm sticking to my there is not a good Penguin episode.
We're on the lookout for a basement.
I had to throw you off by starting to sing myself.
My brain is just so wants to like latch on to like singing with people or something that I'll just completely forego my own.
You gotta start like a metronome in your brain whenever you sing anything and just stick to it. Don't listen to me. I've got Bink Bink app on my phone.
I've got Batman. Boom boom. Basement. That's fucked.
It is, yeah. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody, for Not Robin's Reckoning Part 2.
Oh, God. I'd like already forgotten. Thanks for listening. Bye. Listen to this clip that Jamie's going to play right
now. Oh.
You deceived me. You can't take this one. Zuko's mine.
Sorry, Robin, but on this team, I call the shots.
But I've waited half my life.
Batman out.
Oh, no. He's not gonna ace me out.
Please, Master Dick, you must do as he says.
Not this time, Alfred. Maybe not ever again.